If heroin was a drug that pharmaceutical companies could advertise on television, the voiceover would say things like, possible side effects of heroin may cause homelessness, regular emergency room visits, no libido, no ambition, low self-esteem, jail, and frequent urination all over your friends and family. These results are typical. At 26, my life was going pretty good. I was making great money. I owned my own business. I had a briefcase and business cards with my name on them. David Latham, President. I even paid cash for my first kick at a resort detox. It was called Warm Horizons at Conifer Park, with amenities including, but not limited to, an indoor pool, nature trails, and hot saunas. After checking out, I made a vow to never, ever come back here again. Within the week, I was shooting heroin. Not 2 years later, I lost my business, my briefcase, a Samsonite, my 6-figure bank account, and my fucking business cards. Luckily, the state of New York deemed me a drug addict, so I was legally disabled. In my wallet, there was a welfare identification card where I used to keep my American Express. Courtesy of my Medicaid card, I took advantage of a half dozen institutions across the state of New York. Each time I swore, I'll never, ever come back here again. My problem, I thought, was where I lived. I needed to get out of New York. I came to this conclusion because every time I would get behind the wheel of my car, it would mysteriously drive itself to the dealer's house, despite all my protests to steer or apply the brakes. It was bizarre. I was a 30-year-old guy and thousands of miles away from my problem. But I was still the same, obsessed with getting high. Or, as we say in the business, getting well. Being a junkie is a full-time job. No holidays and tons of overtime. Holding down a regular job will only get in the way of you raising the money you're going to need every day. People will try to stop smoking cigarettes and say things like, man, this is as hard as quitting heroin. No, it's fucking not. Oh, did you ever shit your pants coming down off your Marlboros? Pussy. I spent the next 4 years as a full-time junkie in San Diego, where I was arrested and went to jail for 47 days. Best rehab ever. As each day passed without me using any chemicals, I started to feel like a human being again. The days turned into months. I was 35 years old, and I felt like I was 17. Everything felt new again. I kissed a girl for the first time in what seemed like forever, and it nearly blew my head off. This is going to be awesome. For the next 9 years, I was clean. I stayed clean. I became the person that I always wanted to be. I started a band. I quit smoking cigarettes. I ran marathons. I married a nurse. I rescued a cat. And I gave myself to other heroin addicts that still struggled. Along the way, I got a real full-time job as a limousine driver. To be honest, I liked having an excuse to wear a dark suit and sunglasses, something about Reservoir Dogs. After staying clean for 9 years, I relapsed. A few thousand days of doing the right thing were destroyed in the instant of using again. You can handle this, David. Don't panic. Just don't tell anyone about your little heroin problem. Who's going to notice? Everything is going to be fine. As a junkie limo driver, the first thing I learned how to work around was the side effect of nodding off at red lights and coming to after hitting the car in front of me. I fixed this. By putting the car in park at every red light and stop sign. Preventative measures. To say it was ironic that I was the driver of people who didn't want to drink and drive was not even close. If I wasn't me, I would have killed me on sight. The piece of shit of me was back. Now I was using through weddings, funerals, bachelorette parties. There were always bachelorette parties, which sounds awesome, but was actually an exercise in tolerating drunk girls yelling, "Oh my God, Stacy, we are so going to get fucked up tonight." Which turned into passing out and vomiting all over their penis-shaped party favors. I had picked up medical teams of liver transplant surgeons from their Learjets to transport them to the hospital to save some guy's life. I helped carry the ice chest with the freshly harvested liver with my own 2 hands. Did I mention that I have hepatitis C? There were also the quinceañeras, where I ended up directing photo shoots of 15-year-old kids in zoot suits and tiaras posing on a limousine. I really enjoyed those kids. I really did. I never became immune to the passengers who say things like, "Hey, limo guy." No matter how many times I told them my name, this was obnoxious. It would be like calling your waitress, "Hey, food bringer lady." The best part of the job were the celebrities that I would work with. The shittiest part of the job were the celebrities I would work with. During Comic-Con 2008, I waited inside the airport terminal, watched a helicopter touch down, and an entourage of people rushed towards me. The only person who wasn't carrying anything looked like a gym teacher who obviously had some work done. "Oh, it's that woman from Desperate Housewives. It's what's-her-face, Terry Hatcher." I recognized her from Lois and Clark. I introduced myself as her driver and helped the porter load the car. Typically, one of the highlights of this job is being a fly on the wall. I could listen without trying to all of their conversations. Also interesting are the shallow things celebrities will say. Miss Hatcher looked out the window and said, "Boy, the clouds are really puffy." A second later, one of her people in her entourage gushed, "Oh my God, Terry, that is so profound. I want to get that tattooed on my arm." She was completely serious. I dropped them off at the Sheraton Hotel. An hour later, they returned to the car. Now Terry looked like a movie star. No wonder she was once the most downloaded image on the internet. I waited as Miss Hatcher signed a bunch of autographs before getting in the car. We headed towards the convention center, and soon we were surrounded by the chaos of Comic-Con. I wondered how many Superman fans could have picked her out of the crowd looking like the disheveled yoga teacher she did earlier. I pulled into the underground entrance, past the hive of costumes, security guards, and egos. Miss Hatcher got out and told me she'd see me in a few hours. Now it was time to sit and wait. I passed the time wondering how I was going to be able to score something. I really could use a nice cash tip by the end of the day to get well. Here's the thing about being strung out. No matter how much money you have, you'll always be hustling for the next fixed or opportunity use. You will always be $20 short, no matter what. I'm not proud of this. I reached into the Desperate Housewives' purse and I took out a $20 bill. There was probably like $1,000 in there, but all this junky limo guy needed was $20. You see, everything in the world of a dope fiend is measured in increments of $20 bills. I will sell you 500 of my CDs for $20. I can paint your house for $20. I will kill someone for you for $20. For the rest of the afternoon, I fidgeted with that $20 bill in my pocket. I reassured myself through the guilt, fuck her. She's not going to tip you. They never do. I thought this despite the fact that at this time in Terry Hatcher's career, as the star of Desperate Housewives, she was making over $285,000 a week. A week. Making her one of the highest paid actresses in the United States. After her appearance, I took them back to the helicopter. Parked on the curb, I held the door open while her crew got out. One by one, the last to exit was Terry, $250,000 a week, Hatcher. Then something happened I wasn't expecting. Terry leaned into me. She was even more stunning this close up. She put her arm around my shoulder and said, David? Now this threw me because she remembered my name. I tried not to let it show. You did a fabulous job with me today, and I want to let you know how much I appreciate it. She patted me on my shoulder. I gulped. She really is going to leave me a tip. Why did I do that? How could I have stolen $20? My God, she's not so horrible after all. I smiled back at her to acknowledge her kind and generous interaction with me. And then she said, David, I've left something for you in the back of the limo. God damn it! What a nice lady she is. I am a pile. She said goodbye and walked down the long hallway of the terminal to her waiting helicopter. I said, You're very welcome, Mrs. Hatcher. You're very welcome. I really, really meant it. I went into the back of the limo to see what was waiting for me. The car was absolutely empty. Absolutely empty. Except for a plate of nachos. Half-eaten nachos. All the meat was picked off. A sliver of carne asada gristle apologetically looked up at me. Looking back, she did say something to the effect of, I hope you're hungry.
David Latham